What's going on, people? I hope everybody is cool. So I wanted to hop on here real quick and talk about this clip of Pastor Mike Jr. Passing out during a sermon. Okay. Now, in this clip, Pastor Mike, he was shouting, he was crying, to the point that he literally passed out. Okay. He was shouting very loudly. He kept saying, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Okay. To the point where, a lot of people started to become concerned for him and thought that, he was probably going to hurt himself, etc. Okay. A lot of people were talking about this. I'm going to play the clip and then I'm going to come back with my commentary. But stick around because I'm definitely going somewhere with it, because this plays into the whole, black people hoop and holler at church and shouting and running around and, without getting taught the word, they just put on a show. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to play the clip and then I'm going to come back with my commentary, man. Check it out.
Jesus over hatred, Jesus over racism, Jesus over poverty, Jesus over sin, Jesus, 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 Jesus over our family, Jesus at every hospital, Jesus over violence, Jesus, 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 no other name greater than your name. Jesus, Jesus, we need you. Jesus, over our city. Jesus, over our families. Jesus, over cancer. Jesus, over sickle cell. Jesus, over diabetes. Jesus, over AIDS. Jesus, in every jail on Capitol Hill, on every street, in every house. Jesus, 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 Jesus.
Okay.
Jesus.
Yeah. So right there, he passed out. Now, I'm not going to play the entire video, but you all saw what was happening. All right. And a lot of people were in the comment section of that video. And some of these people are Christians, by the way. And they're saying things like, oh, he's just putting on a show, or he don't have to do all that, or that's unnecessary, etc. But hold up, man. Hold up. Here's what I would like to say to that. Okay? Here's what I would like to say to that. How do you all know what that man is going through? How do you all know what battle he's fighting unseen? See, some of you all are so quick to talk because you've never been that desperate to cry out to God like that, to shout unto Jesus like that. You've never been that desperate. Some of y'all are too quiet to get free, right? You're too quiet to get free, too silent to break chains, too worried about who's looking and trying to look cool and, trying to make sure that your shades ain't messing up and your haircut don't mess up and your makeup don't fall. You're thinking about a spouse looking at you, etc. Some of you all are too cool to shout like that, man. When some of you all need to be shouting like that. Now, if you listen to the things that he was saying, he said Jesus over diabetes, right? Over diabetes. I just lost a brother to diabetes. Okay. Jesus over diabetes. Some of the people in that church, in that congregation, they were sitting there very quiet when he said that, looking like, oh, why is he shouting like that? And they got diabetes. Okay. He was saying Jesus over poverty, right? Some of the people in that congregation are battling with financial situations. Real talk. Listen, some of y'all can't get free because you won't shout. The Bible is loud about this. Shouting is a command, not a suggestion, right? If you go to Psalms 47:1 KJV, it says, quote, "Oh, clap your hands, all ye people, shout unto God with a voice of triumph," unquote. A voice of triumph, right? Shouting is not a show every time it's done. It can also be a weapon. You're supposed to shout in victory. Shout for breakthrough. Shout in battle. Okay? Shout to conquer, etc. See, some of you all are too reserved. You're too reserved when you should be shouting, trying to look good, trying to look cute, and then going home fighting the same devil every night. Right? If you go to Psalm 66:1 KJV, it says, quote, "Make a joyful noise unto God, all ye lands, sing forth the honor of his name, make his praise glorious," unquote. Quote, a joyful noise is not silent, it's loud. God wants glorious praise, not dry, dead, lifeless praise. Pastor Mike wasn't just shouting for his victory or shouting to break the chains off of him. He was also shouting to break the chains off of the people in the congregation. He was shouting to break the chains off of the other followers within the world. Because if you listen to the things he was shouting for victory. He was shouting for Jesus to heal sickness, heal disease, heal finances, etc. He was shouting for a financial breakthrough, and many other people in the church and in the comment section were sitting back talking about, well, he ain't got to do all that. Listen, every gathering doesn't have to be like a Joel Osteen gathering, okay? You're just sitting there, being very still, and the professor is talking and you're just nodding your head, and all of that. All of that's cool. I'm not against that. I'm not against that. But sometimes spiritual warfare and breakthrough requires a shout unto the Lord, man. It requires a shout unto the Lord. If you go to Isaiah 12:6, it says, quote, "Cry out and shout," right? "Cry out and shout, thou inhabitant of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel in the midst of thee," unquote. When God is in the building, a real praiser sometimes doesn't stay quiet. Sometimes you have to shout. You have to cry out to God to break free, to get loose. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all don't realize shouting gets God's attention. If you go to Mark 10:47 and 48, KJV, it says, quote, "And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, 'Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me.' And many charged him that he should hold his peace." Oh, be quiet. Don't be screaming like that. Be quiet like they do today. Hold on. Don't shh. Be quiet now. Be quiet. But see, the man cried the more a great deal, "Thou son of David, have mercy on me," unquote, right? If you think about blind Bartimaeus shouted for Jesus, the crowd told him to shut up, didn't they? But he shouted even louder, and guess what? His shout got him healed by Jesus. Some of y'all are too quiet to get healed, too reserved to get free, too cute to get a breakthrough, worried about who's looking, right? Trying to look cute, trying to look pretty. Sometimes you better leave that makeup at home. You better take off that hat, all right? Because when you get back to the house, you got a devil to fight. Now, let's talk about some of y'all who got a problem with shouting and dancing, because a lot of people talk about this, all right? Even when you dance, oh, they go to black church, they hooping and hollering and dancing over there. Hooping, hollering, dancing. You want to stay quiet. All right? You like a quiet service, a silent sanctuary, a stiff and dignified worship, which is cool in some cases. I'm not knocking that. Okay? But every gathering, every sermon does not require that. Sometimes there needs to be spiritual warfare. Sometimes you have to go into crying, dancing, shouting, because people are going through all kinds of mayhem, all kinds of misery that you all do not see. Right? People are going into the church, dolled up, glamored up, and going through hell when they leave in secret places. Right? Some of y'all too quiet to get healed, man. Too reserved. Too reserved. Some of y'all got a problem with dancing and all that. 2 Samuel 6:14 says, quote, and David danced before the Lord with all of his might, and David was girded in linen, right? Unquote. David didn't just dance. He danced with all of his might. He lost himself in worship. But if you see that happen today, people will stand back and look at the person. Oh, he just putting on the show. He just putting on the show. It don't require all that. And you have Christians who actually think that there is a problem with shouting unto the Lord with a voice of triumph. There is a problem with dancing. There is a problem with screaming unto God for breakthrough. There is a problem with that. You have Christians who believe this, man. They actually believe this. Right? If you go to 2 Samuel 6:16, it says, quote, and as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. Unquote. Some of y'all got a problem with with dancing and all of that, because some of you all have a Michal spirit, a Michal spirit, sitting there judging real worshipers instead of getting free yourself. All right? So you want to sit there stiff and judge other people who want to shout unto God for a breakthrough, trying to get free. Listen, some of y'all better stop worrying about looking cool and start worrying about getting free. All right? You better stop worrying about who's looking at you and start worrying about getting that devil off of your back. Right? Right? See, a lot of people in the church, they have no power. There's no power circulating in the church. Right? Some of y'all are trying to cast out demons with dirty hands. You're trying to lay hands on people, but with those same hands, you were doing stuff that you had no business doing. Right? Watching stuff that you shouldn't have been, saying stuff you shouldn't have been, spreading gossip, hatred, etc. Right? Right? You're trying to cast out demons and devils with the same hands that you are rubbing on somebody else's spouse with. And then you're trying to raise up and cast out demons and devils. Listen, man. Pastor Mike was shouting for breakthrough. He was shouting for victory. He was shouting because he may be fighting the devil in secrecy. The devil may be trying to take hold of him in regards to something. Okay? And he was shouting for breakthrough, shouting for victory. He was shouting for fellow believers and shouting for people to come to God, shouting that God will break the curse of generational lack and debt, etc. He was shouting. If you listen to what he was saying, he was shouting for all of that. And people are too reserved to get with it. And this is why you can't get free, because you are too afraid and too reserved to shout. Now, I'm not against quietness and silentness. That's all good too. That's cool too. But in some situations, In some cases, you better get loud unto God. And you better have you better not just have a prayer, you better have a violent prayer. And you better shout unto God with a voice of triumph so much that it'll shake the room, so much that you faint. Okay? Because if you knew what was at stake, you'd be hollering and screaming like Pastor Mike Jr. was just doing. All right? And with that being said, man, to God be the glory. Peace.